Hi, welcome. Enjoy the content. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Smiled like she hadn't smiled in a long time. Ever since Tiffany announced her engagement, Melissa found herself filling with a renewed sense of purpose. She had quietly taken on the task of transforming every single aspect of her sister's wedding into something truly memorable. The sisters had always shared a deep connection. Despite the years between them, they grew up inseparable, shaped by a childhood full of whispered secrets after bedtime, shared clothes, and long afternoons of laughter that left them breathless. Those memories had never faded, and Tiffany's wedding felt like an opportunity to recreate that closeness, to add a new chapter too. Their shared story, without hesitation, Melissa offered to handle everything. She immersed herself in the details. From organizing the bridal shower to selecting the invitations, even choosing the desserts that would be served at the reception. She wanted each element to feel personal, tensional, and filled with meaning. Still, among all the responsibilities, one thing excited her more than the rest: the bachelorette party. The idea surfaced one evening during Arilec's dinner at their parents' house. Between casual conversation and shared merries, Tiffany admitted she didn't want anything loud or overdone. No forsegems, no excessive drinking, no crowd places. She hoped for something calm, intimate, and genuine. Melissa instantly knew what to suggest. She proposed the family's country house, a place filled with nostalgia, tucked away from the noise of town, surrounded by open space and memories from their childhood. Her vision was simple, yet heartfelt. One night shared with the women whom it toured most. Stories retold, laughter echoing late into the night. Familiar to thousands, music playing in the background, and conversations that stretched until sleep finally arrived. Just women, the way it had always been when they were younger. Tiffany didn't hesitate. She lived the idea immediately. To her, it felt perfect. There would be no clubs, no risky plans, no unnecessary complications. Just a quiet celebration among those who had walked beside her through different stages of life. As the days passed and the date grew closer, Melissa stepped fully into the role of organizer. She handled every detail with care. She ordered light snacks, assembled small souvenirs using old photographs, prepared the beds, and cleaned the backyard until everything felt welcoming. Their cousins confirmed they would attend, and old friends, girls who had known Tiffany since elementary school, promised they would do whatever it took to be there. Each woman carried a shared history with Tiffany, a memory, a phase, a moment that had shaped who she was. The gathering felt less like a party and more like a reunion, something everyone was quietly anticipating. Melissa wanted nothing more than for it to be flawless. She saw it as a chance to reconnect with the heart of female friendships, built on trust, closeness, and loyalty. Kyle, Melissa's husband, didn't mirror her excitement. When she told him a booth plan, his reaction was immediate. He asked who would be there, questioned why it needed to be so far from town, and seemed uneasy despite it being an all-women event. Melissa laughed it off, thinking his worries were unnecessary. She reassured him it would be calm and asked him not to overthink it. Still, Kyle struggled to hide his discomfort. They had argued in the past about gatherings that had cross-eyed boundaries, moments where he felt ignored or disrespected. This time, Melissa chose her words carefully. She reminded him that she valued their relationship, understood limits, and had no intention of causing insecurity. After a long breath, Kat decided to put this trust in her. In the days that followed, Melissa stayed constantly busy, moving from one task to the next, double-checking every detail of celebration. She bought drinks, hired a local decorator for something simple but nice, organized playlists, and prepared personalized gifts. At home, Kyle Watts said silently. It was clear how excited she was, almost as if it were her own wedding. Even though something inside him tightened, he tried to smile, support her, and show clearly that he wished his sister-in-law happiness. The night before the trip, Melissa hugged him tightly, told him she'd be back the next day, and said he could relax. While she was gone, Kyle smiled back, but Hisai said something else. By late afternoon, the women gathered in front of the house to head together toward the countryside house. There were 10 of them, including cousins, childhood friends, and college friends. They arrived wearing matching t-shirts, laughing loudly, taking selfies, buzzing with excitement for the night ahead. Tiffany got into her sister's car, saying this would be one of the most unforgettable nights of her life. Melissa, behind the wheel, smiled proudly. She couldn't imagine that sentence would carry a meaning much different from what he thought at that moment. What was about to happen in that isolated house will change the course of all their lives forever. The women returned from countryside house late the next morning. Tired but smiling, some exchanged messages along the way, sending photos in the group chat they created just to organize the Bachelorette party. Melissa got home and found Kyle in the kitchen making coffee. He asked how it went, trying to keep a neutral tone, although deep down he was full of doubts. She hugged him from behind and responded as if nothing had happened, just like we agreed. Just us, just gossip and laughs. It was good. Kyle looked into her eyes, searching for any sign of discomfort. But she seemed calm. There was no trace of guilt, only tiredness and the same lightheartedness of someone returning from a normal night with friends. The following days remained peaceful. Tiffany returned to the rush of final wedding preparations, and Melissa helped where she could, handling small tasks and double-checking details with the wedding planner. Kyle tried to push the image out of his head. That feeling that something was off, even though Melissa's answer had sounded convincing. An unease still lingered, like an invisible stone stuck in his shoe. Nothing concrete, just an instinct that kept whispering. But everything changed 3 days before the wedding when Kyle received a text message from a friend. Thomas, married to one of the women who also attended the Bachelorette party. Dude, I need to talk to you now. This can't wait. It's serious. The message was followed by a link to a video with no additional explanation. Kyle was at work sitting in front of his computer. When he read that, his heart sped up and for a few seconds. He sat frozen, staring at the screen. When he clicked the link, the video started normally. Female voices, upbeat music. The countryside house lit up. Then the image became clear. Tiffany danced in the middle of the living room with a shirtless man. While in the background, Melissa walked by with a drink in her hand, laughing and pulling another man by the arm. The video caption read, "The party that was supposed to be only for women." Kyle froze. He rewound parts of the video, paused certain moments, zoomed in on faces, gestures, details. It wasn't fake news. It was proof. With every passing second, his stomach twisted tighter. The video left no doubt. What had happened in that country's house was far from the version Melissa had told. The party had taken an unexpected turn, and now it was there, exposed, recorded, spreading Gacris groups and social networks. Thomas sent another message. I don't know if you've seen, but there are more than one videos going around. Adores. People are tagging names. Kyle lost his footing. The last bit of trust dissolved. What was once just suspicion was now betrayal. With a clear address, date, and well-defined participants, Kyle spent hours processing what he had just seen in the office. The video stayed paused on his laptop screen while he sat motionless in front of it. It felt like each scene had burned not only into his mind, but into his body. His shoulders felt heavy. His throat burned and his stomach felt empty. He needed to get out of there. He stood up, shut the laptop forcefully, grabbed his car keys, and left without saying a word to anyone. The drive home felt longer than usual. He thought about everything she had said that morning. The way she hugged him and lied. Saka Zuli. That ate at his soul. As soon as he parked, he stayed in the car for a few seconds, trying to steady his breathing. When he walked in, Melissa was in the kitchen, scrolling through her phone with a half-finished glass of water beside her. When she saw her husband, she gave him a smile like nothing had happened. Kyle slowly walked over to her, pulled his phone from his pocket, and placed it on the table without saying a word. He pressed play on the video and stood still, watching our reaction. Melissa's eyes widened, then dropped to the floor. She tried to mutter something, but Kyle raised his hand, signaling silence. I saw everything from start to finish. And before you try to come up with any excuse, just know one thing. You destroyed everything. Melissa tried to get closer, reaching out to touch his arm, but Kyle stepped back. He stared into her eyes with the coldness of a man who had just buried a love built over years. His anger was silent, and that was scarier than any scream. Get out of my house now. She was stunned. Kyle, please, let me explain. It was just one night. I messed up. I was drunk. You were sober enough to hide this from me when you got back. Sober now to lie, looking me in the eye. Sober enough to smile while you cheated on me. You made your choices. Now deal with the consequences. Melissa tried to argue, saying she needed to take her things, her clothes, at least her phone and purse. Kyle calmly opened the front door and pointed. You can get all that later. Today you leave with what you have on. She stood still for a few seconds, in disbelief, as if waiting for him to change his mind. But his look was that off, someone who had closed a door that will never open again. Slowly, she walked toward the exit. Before stepping through the doorway, she softly said, "I never meant to hurt you." Kyle didn't respond. He simply closed the door firmly behind her, locked it, and walked away without looking back. He stood in silence for a few seconds, feeling fear. Inside the house, once a place of safety, now feel hollow with contaminated memories. Hours later, he packed his own bags. He didn't want to stay in that house anymore. He left everything behind. Furniture, photographs, plans, promises, all of it. He only took with him the dignity of someone who, even when betrayed, didn't sink to the same level. He left a short note on the living room table, where Melissa used top of the flowers he bought every Sunday. You ruined our story for something that lasted one night. The difference is that last will live forever in everyone's memory. After that, he got in his car and drove away. The town too small to keep secrets, Wazel ready in flames. The impact on the town was immediate. In less than 24 hours, the video spread everywhere like wildfire. Ashbridge, previously known for its local fairs and peaceful vibe, became the joke of neighboring towns. The scandal passed from group to group, reaching churches, schools, stores, and even the elderly men who spent their mornings playing dominoes at the park. As soon as someone opened their phone, the question flew around. Have you seen the Bachelorette party video? What shocked people most was that as the media spread, names began to connect to faces. Melissa, Tiffany, Heather, Anna, Claire, Julia, and Beth all were identified. Some by facial features, others by cloths, tattoos, bracelets, or simply because someone from the neighborhood reacknowledged them. With the video exposed, the husband's reactions were devastating. Thomas, who had sent the message to Kyle, kicked Heather out the someday and said the kids would stay with him. Julia came home to find her bags packed on the porch and a note with just 3 words, "You ended everything." Beth tried to argue she was pressured by her friends, but her husband replied with a video of her walking into the bedroom laughing with Anther. Man, homes emptied out. Neighbors whispered from one sidewalk to the other. Kids started asking why their moms were crying locked in their rooms. Teachers reported students becoming withdrawn. Parents called schools requesting their children not sit near kids of those involved. Even people not directly connected to the situation felt the shame splash onto them. Small town where everyone knew each other by name, surname, and familiar story. now carried a new label, The Town of the Bachelorette Party. Walevi husbands made drastic decisions. These group of women who organized the party continued chatting in the messaging app. They used the group to try to understand what had happened. How that video ended up circulating so widely, and Especialo filmed it. At 3 a.m., Melissa broke the silence with a direct question. Does anyone here know who filmed it? 5 minutes off silence. Then Claire answered, it had Tobe, one of Thiedenzer's. I didn't see anyone with a phone, but thinking back, we were drunk. Heather added, I think they filmed secretly. We were too distracted to notice. Anna reacted angrily. They filmed and posted it on purpose. Was it all planned? Julia tried calming everyone. Guys, we don't know for sure, but we need to find out. The whole town has seen it. Melissa typed one last line before leaving the group. Finding out won't change. The fact that I lost my husband? And the worst part, I can't even justify what I did. Shortly after, 2 more left the group. Those was dead kept texting, trying to find a culprit, a reason, a way to stop what was already in Paul. But none of them could undo. Everyone already knew. We've happened in that countryside house spilled beyond the gates and turned into ruin in each of their lives. The Bennett house, once a symbol of respect in town, sank into silence and shame. Mr. Charles, Melissa, and Tiffany's father took days to face neighbors again. Even the older ones who had known him since oath avoided eye contact at the grocery store. When he finally decided to go take church, he noticed the empty seats around his. It was as if the shame was contagious. Their mother stopped leaving the house. She refused visitors, even avoiding opening the curtains. The phone rang often, but she preferred pretending no one was calling. Charles, trying at least to save the family's honor, recorded a short video with his phone. He spoke calmly but firmly. He said his daughters were raised with values and principles, and that action didn't reflect the upbringing they received. Biblically, admitted his pain and said he hadn't agree with what happened. In one part of the video, his voice cracked. He raised girls who knew the difference between right and wrong. But when they came back from college, they seemed a different, colder, more distant than we believed possible. The video went viral, shared in groups as the father who had the courage. Many praised his stance. Others said it was too late. To some, it was noble. To others, just desperation to clean the family name. In town, life went on, but nothing was theesome. Restaurants once full emptied when none of the involved women walked in. Parents transferred their kids to differentials. People started claiming distant relatives and searched for documents touching their last names. Commerce lost business. Tourists avoided Ashbridge, and locals even started using nicknameshin, talking about the town with outsiders. The town entrance. Sign 1C, source of pride. Woke up one day painted red with graffiti, reading, Town of the Bachelorette Party. No wonder to erase it. It stayed there as ASCAR. Melissa tried rebuilding her life. She looked for jobs in the cities, but whenever she gave her full name, people smirked uncomfortably or asked awkward questions. Tiffany stopped using social media. She deleted old photos, tried changing her look, even considered moving to another country. But every attempt to restart was dragged back by the past. Because this wasn't just a scandal. It was a mark. Then, weeks later, came the final summons. Kyle's divorce papers had been filed. Melissa didn't try to stop it. She knew wouldn't return. The biggest surprise was when he showed up in person at the courthouse. To sign, he walked in quietly, hair shorter, looking tired but determined. Melissa was already seated, nervous, trying to steady her trembling hands. When he walked in, she stood up, opened her mouth to speak. But he walked straight past, sat at the table, signed where needed, and stood up. He didn't even glance in her direction. He left the way he came, silently, firmly, like Simeon closing a chapter they didn't want to remember. Melissa stood there, eyes filled with tears, holding divorce paper in her hand. It was in thought moments she truly understood Somi action's cost. Too much. And Somatum Sarigra comes too late when love is no longer in the room or in the heart. And Tiffany's wedding, well, let's just say, was cancelled. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss the updates. See you next.